We see contradiction in us and about us. Because we are in contradiction, there is lack of peace in us and therefore outside us. There is in us a constant state of denial and assertion, what we want to be and what we are. The state of contradiction creates conflict, and this conflict does not bring about peace, which is a simple, obvious fact. This inward contradiction should not be translated into some kind of philosophical dualism, because that is a very easy escape. That is by saying that contradiction is a state of dualism we think we have solved it, which is obviously a mere convention, a contributory escape from actuality. Now what do we mean by conflict, by contradiction? Why is there a contradiction in me? This constant struggle to be something apart from what I am. I am this, and I want to be that. This contradiction in us is a fact, not a metaphysical dualism. Metaphysics has no significance in understanding what is. We may discuss, say, dualism, what it is, if it exists, and so on, but of what value is it if we don't know that there is contradiction in us, opposing desires, opposing interests, opposing pursuits? I want to be good and I am not able to be. This contradiction, this opposition in us, must be understood because it creates conflict, and in conflict, in struggle, we cannot create individually. Let us be clear on the state we are in. There is contradiction, so there must be struggle, and struggle is destruction, waste. In that state we can produce nothing but antagonism, strife, more bitterness and sorrow. If we can understand this fully and hence be free of contradiction, then there can be inward peace, which will bring understanding of each other. The problem is this: seeing that conflict is destructive, wasteful. Why is it that in each of us there is contradiction? To understand that, we must go a little further. Why is there the sense of opposing desires? I do not know if we are aware of it in ourselves. This contradiction, this sense of wanting and not wanting, remembering something and trying to forget it in order to find something new. Just watch it. It is very simple and very normal. It is not something extraordinary. The fact is, there is contradiction. Then why does this contradiction arise? What do we mean by contradiction? Does it not imply an impermanent state which is being opposed by another impermanent state? I think I have a permanent desire, I posit in myself a permanent desire, and another desire arises which contradicts it. This contradiction brings about conflict, which is waste. That is to say, there is a constant denial of one desire by another desire, one pursuit overcoming another pursuit. Now, is there such a thing as a permanent desire? Surely, all desire is impermanent, not metaphysically, but actually. I want a job. That is, I look to a certain job as a means of happiness, and when I get it, I am dissatisfied. I want to become the manager, then the owner, and so on, not only in this world, but in the so-called spiritual world, the teacher becoming the principal, the priest becoming the bishop, the pupil becoming the master. This constant becoming, arriving at one state after another, brings about contradiction, does it not? Therefore, why not look at life not as one permanent desire but as a series of fleeting desires always in opposition to each other? Hence the mind need not be in a state of contradiction. If I regard life not as a permanent desire but as a series of temporary desires which are constantly changing, then there is no contradiction. Contradiction arises only when the mind has a fixed point of desire, that is, when the mind does not regard all desire as moving, transient, but seizes upon one desire and makes that into a permanency. Only then, when other desires arise, is there contradiction. But all desires are in constant movement, there is no fixation of desire. There is no fixed point in desire, but the mind establishes a fixed point because it treats everything as a means to arrive, to gain, and there must be contradiction, conflict, as long as one is arriving. You want to arrive, you want to succeed. You want to find an ultimate God or truth which will be your permanent satisfaction. Therefore you are not seeking truth, you are not seeking God. You are seeking lasting gratification, and that gratification you clothe with an idea. A respectable sounding word such as God, truth, but actually we are all seeking gratification, and we place that gratification, that satisfaction, at the highest point, calling it God, and the lowest point is drink.